What's going on, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for episode 27 of X-2 Drop, our weekly Yu-Gi-Oh podcast we do, talking about anything and everything in regards to the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. This week's episode is, there's a lot of downtime in the community. We wanted to talk about what makes a good locals, because we oftentimes bitch repeatedly about our local scene and what it is, and we want to talk about what makes a good locals, what makes a bad locals, how important it is to actually go to those events if you're able to, and just basically go from there. So I've had 3 different locals that I've gone to in the past 2 years, and the one I'm currently at is by far the worst, which is the one the Duel Factory also goes to. So what makes our local scene so unique, Joe?
So, for those of you who participate at Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals and stuff like that, ours is very unique in the sense that I feel like it's meme central. And what I mean by that is, the guys there are more interested in just memeing than actually playing the game. Like, for example, one of the things I miss about our locals, because it didn't used to always be like this. I used to miss like the competitive aspect where people would bring like a meta deck, and they might not be the best player, but they were always trying to better themselves, right? I don't feel like that's at our locals anymore. I just feel like you sit down and, like, for example, the best combo I see half the time is Fiend Sanctuary, some Vandy's Fiend Pass, and you're just kind of sitting there and be like, why am I being memed to death?
Yeah, and don't take this the wrong way, because we're not saying everybody needs the most expensive cards. Everybody needs to like constantly in that competitive mindset, but like when you're going, you should want to do the best you possibly can and like take it seriously, because like if I sit across the table, like I'm driving 20 minutes, like I know it's not that far, but I'm spending 4 or 5 hours there. Like I want to get something out of it, and like you should want to get something out of it too. You should, like, I played fucking spell books on Saturday, right? Like I took it and built it as competitively as I could, and I wanted to win with it. Now, the guys, what are some of the decks we see weekly besides fucking True Draco?
The only thing you're going to see, you're not going to see a whole lot of meta or locals. Like, you'll see like hybrid versions of Thunder, which aren't really like the most competitive, but like.
But he okay. Despite how much that player makes me just like grind my gears, because he just needs to slow the fuck down. Like I think he's kind of trying to win.
Kind of.
He's just like not that really good. He's just not that good at it.
But you'll see stuff at our locals all the time, like it's not exactly barrier statue stun, but like there's barrier statues in it, and because of the fact that he's playing them, it'll piggyback him to stupid stuff. As I was saying earlier, the solid Archfiend deck that just never seems to play any of the good Archfiend cards. I think so far my personal favorite, Guardians, because I get smacked around by that deck. That's pretty funny. I mean, you don't ever like see like a consistent meta basis or anything like that, or even someone just trying to play Rogue at like a competitive mindset.
Yeah,
like it's actually
like you don't see. It's me, you, Aaron, Doug, and then redhead guy.
Devin,
and like that's it. Like Devin wants to play the best he can, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, like he likes to have fun with the game, but he played Marine Cess this past weekend. It's new to him. He was playing Salamangreat for a long time. Like he's not the greatest player. Like I'm not the greatest player, but he wants to win. And we have this one guy who I swear he was playing fucking Shino Birds for like 10 years. It's just...
Yeah, he only plays bird archetypes, but he's never played Black Wings, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. But when I sit down and play with him, it seems like he is playing as streamlined as possible. Like, yeah, he doesn't really spend money on the game from what I've noticed. But like the deck he has, he wants to play it and he knows how to play it despite what that deck is. You know what I mean? Exactly. But to a certain point, like our local scene hasn't grown at all. And it's not like not for trying. Like we are there. I don't think we're not approachable like players. It's just nobody wants to get better.
It's one of those things like because of our this is what I think the biggest thing about our locals is. I think it's because of our competitive mindset and the fact that our locals is so casual. Because you'll see super competitive locals, like some of the ones I've gone up in the Chicago area and some of the ones I've gone to the St. Louis area. And then there's our locals that are like super, super casual. What is it? I think it's the fact that we have such a competitive mindset at the game is what makes it seem like we're so unapproachable at a locals. And then when you have people come out of the city, for example, some of the guys from Quincy, some of the guys from Decatur and stuff like that, they have the same mindset as we do because they're trying to get better at the game. And that's one of the biggest things about locals is it's a place that has a tournament-like setting that you can go to every week, and you can get actual physical gameplay in versus playing on Dueling Book all the time. And that's how you better yourself as a player. And they're more likely to approach us and sit there and talk deck theory and stuff like that versus some of the other guys who are going to be like, hey, you want to see my Super Smash Bros. Combo? Like, no, that's not what I came to locals for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm there to have fun, and I do enjoy going to our locals because I like some of the like most of the time we just talk shit anyway. So it's like, it's just a good thing. It's a fun time sometimes.
Yeah.
But like 9 times out of 10, like I went there because I want to actually play against something that I would see if I went to a major event or a regional or an OTS or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I
didn't go there.
This locals is lacking.
Like, I didn't go there just for the OTS packs, right? Like, if that's all I wanted, it's like I wanted the packs and I have a play testing group, like, fine, maybe I'll get an Alti. But, like, I just said it yesterday, we would be better off, like, ramping up into the competitive season, just you, me, Doug, Aaron, just sitting down and playing for 2 hours, playing one fucking match each. We would get more practice out of our locals than we do going there. Now, I will say the Pendulum Magician player, I have sat down with him and I have talked about like how to make his deck better because he asked me, he's like, I don't have a very high budget, but like, what can I do? And that is the stuff that I love about locals because I remember going to my card shop 2-3 years ago and like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, how does this deck work? Like, what are some ways to do it? And we were open till 1-2 o'clock in the morning. So after locals, I'd just sit there from like 10 p.m. just chilling with like these 4 or 5 guys that I barely knew. It turns out fucking one of them was Marcus. And then the other ones were like very competitive players. And we're just talking. And like, I'm just some nobody. And I was just getting better by being there.
Exactly. That's another thing that our locals lacks. Like I said, we have our group of players that want to be competitive, and the thing is, it's like if we feel this way, other people have to feel the same way, right? Especially like at other locals around the world, because we can't just be the only one where we're just meme central. But in our area specifically, like you were saying, we don't have locals that'll stay open until 12 or 1 in the morning. Like back in the day, when I used to run the game store in town, I used to keep it open. And as long as people were in there and they were either playing games or wanting to talk theory and stuff like that, I would keep it open because I didn't really care. And that's when like me and Aldo, I'll even go as far as Andrew Temple when he wanted to still play the game, Bobby, John, like we were all getting really good at the game because we were sitting there and we would talk theory and we would play. And like, that's something that I really miss, especially in our area, especially having a taste of it for a little bit. It was really nice because that's why I thought our local scene was missing, and then it just kind of disappeared. And then the only store that does that here in our town would be Titan Games, I think it is, but they're like a completely Magic competitive.
Yeah, it's 100% Magic.
Yeah, we can't really go over there, and you know.
And like our locals, for anybody who maybe somebody experienced this, ours will, if we have a large showing, one, they'll either split the bracket, which is fine because there are some very, very casual people there, like just got into the game, don't know what they're doing. But if it's like a 5-round locals, like we don't start till fucking 6:30. They'll cut a round early just so they can close.
Right? Yeah, like they're not interested in staying open for us to finish tournament, stuff like that, which is really annoying.
But they also won't start early, and that's the most frustrating part. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that's a big point too. Like, there's a lot of locals. Like on Saturdays, they start theirs early because people want their evenings to themselves. Which, for someone like me, it doesn't really matter because I was going to do nothing with my evening to begin with. But I mean, like for people like you and people like Doug who have wives or significant others or whatever, you know, I mean, you don't always want to have your Saturday night committed to just playing at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals, which, to be fair, isn't that competitive.
Yeah, but the biggest complaint about starting late is the point I just made, is they will cut the tournament short to meet that closing time. And it's like, well, I just paid, like, I know I only paid $6, whatever, but I just paid to play, and I want to play the full tournament. Like, I don't want to get, oh, I had better tiebreakers, so I get first. Like, that's not what I want.
Yeah, that kind of drives me nuts. Like, I get it. Like, no one really wants to do, like, top cut for, like, locals and stuff like that. But, I mean, like, at the same time, like...
Well, we're put in a position where let's say both of us are XO, like 3-0, and it's fucking 9:30. Like, they're just going to cut it, and then, like, somehow one of us will be third and one of us will be first. You know, it's just...
It always happens like that. It always happens like that, I swear.
But so we've talked a lot about bad locals. Now, how can we improve our locals, right? It's 15. It's like a solid 15 player base. Like, some people don't show up every week. So overall, I think it's around 20 to 30 people. Exactly. It's just the consistent crowd is 15. So how can we improve our locals?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and you notice it especially at a lot of game stores, is when you have someone who actually behind the counter, and I'm not trying to take jabs or anything like that, but you need someone behind the counter who's not just interested in boosting their collection. You need someone who's actually interested and like invested in the game. And I'm not meaning like
financial,
card wise.
Yeah, you're not saying
what I'm talking about when you mean invest in the game, like, hey, you pay attention to the meta, you pay attention to what's working, you pay attention to what's not working, and you want your player base to not only grow in terms of size, but you want them to grow as players. And that's what we had that's what we used to have, especially when Yeti Gaming Springfield first opened in 2000, I think it was like 2013, 2014, I can't remember. But I think the person who did the best was, his name was Tommy. He was the original manager when they first opened the store. He was invested in all three games. He was invested in Magic, he was invested in Pokemon, he was invested in Yu-Gi-Oh! He wasn't the greatest player, but he wanted the player base in all three of those games. He didn't favor just one. He was interested in all three of them. He wanted them to be better players every single time they walked in. And when Tommy couldn't do it no more, they hired a guy who was completely invested in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then he ended up not being invested in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's when it started going downhill. They got a guy in Magic and they got a guy in Pokemon, and they were all completely invested in the game, and the player base just kept getting better and better and better. Now, at ours, I'm not saying that whoever is, in charge of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not invested in the game, but from what I'm understanding, and whenever I pay attention to stuff like that, they're more invested in boosting their collection and getting better deals than actually seeing our Yu-Gi-Oh! Community grow as a whole. And I think that's the most bothering thing to me, because I go to other locals, and for example, like I said, because I go to more than one locals. I know a lot of people do. You do. Doug has before. He goes to the Peoria area and stuff like that. It's not the same everywhere else, but everywhere you go, almost there's at least a little interest in whatever that they're doing, and I don't feel that whenever I go to my locals.
Yeah, like at my old one, I could walk in the store, like you just checked that store out like 2 weeks ago, right? You saw it's pretty big, right? So I would walk in the door, and the guy at the counter, his name was Dan. He'd be doing nothing, but we would legitimately talk deck theory, or like, what do you think about this, or what are you playing, like nonstop. And I basically learned the game through him for my first 2-3 months of playing, because I didn't have time to make tournaments, but I could get there when they opened, like around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. And, in a card shop around that time, it's basically dead, right? So it
Exactly.
would just be me and him, and I'd be like reading through cards, picking through bulk, like trying to figure out like what's what. And like if it wasn't for him, like I would not have stayed in the game because it would have just been too much. Like I felt like I wouldn't been able to learn nearly as much. And then once I picked it up, yeah, that's when it's like I could stand alone. But like the store itself is so important to the community that they can't really, like, you can't really put it on a scale because for those of you that have a good locals, like, don't take it for granted.
No, not
Like,
at all.
please, for the love of God, like, show them some support. Like, I know all the YouTubers are like, support your local game store. Like, you fucking do it.
Yeah, it really does help. But I tell you what, I tell you who I think does it the best out of all of them, out of all the game stores that I go to. And I got introduced to this guy when I was running my own game store. But Adam Smith, the owner and operator of No Limit Gaming, I think he does it best. Especially in like the Illinois area, Indianapolis area, St. Louis area, and a lot of the major YCSs. You'll see his booth vending at the YCS, and a lot of times he's there. Adam used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, and it's been a long time since he's played, but he has several tops and stuff like that. And one of the things that made him want to open up his own store was his love for a card game, right? And he hasn't played in years or anything like that, but whenever you go to an event and you sit there talking to him and he's vending and stuff like that, he might not know the card names, but he's very aware of what's good, how the strategies work, and what the decks want to do. And even though he hasn't played, you can sit there and you can still talk theory to him, and you would never guess that he's an owner and operator of one of the biggest like games franchises in our card game or Magic or anything like that, because he's there just constantly buying cards. And I think he did the transition between being a vendor and being a player the best I've seen any game store doing it. So that's why every time I go to events or anything like that, he's always going to receive my business, because he's not just there for cards. He's interested in actually seeing an actual player base continue to grow. And I really do think, so if you're in the Ohio area, definitely go check him out, especially since he just got a new a new store location and stuff like that too. And all of his employees are just the same way. Like, they were all invested at the game at some point. They don't play currently now, but they could tell you what the strategies are and what they think they can do to make it better and stuff like that. They're a great bunch of guys, and it's a great locals to go to. And if I wish I was in the Ohio area, because I would go there every fucking day of the week if I could.
Yep. So we wanted to do this topic today because we want to talk about how important it is, like, for a player to grow. Because, like, yeah, you can sit at home all day and play on Dueling Book or like whatever, but unless you get out and experience tournament setting where it's comfortable, because if you skip the locals, like play test with your friends, and you go straight to a regional, like, you're gonna be overwhelmed. You're gonna be like a little bit like, what the hell is going on? Like, okay, what are the time rules? Like, you need to practice how you play, right? And the easiest way to do that is at locals. So
Exactly.
what that means is you want to be on people either above your level or people just like you trying to get better. And if you don't have that, it's really hard to stay competitive in the game, right?
Yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things, like, we're not doing this to like bash cards game stores like this, because honestly the community needs game stores like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just going to be everywhere you go. But what we want is to better the community, and I think this would be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, like
you can still have a casual mindset, but like, when you start taking your casual mindset and you start thinking of like, hey, you go from being a casual, you being to a rogue player. And don't get me wrong, rogue players are fun and stuff like that, but like, when you have a more competitive mindset, the game honestly is more enjoyable.
Yeah, like I just said, I took spell books to fucking locals, right? I decked from 2013?
Yep.
And I knew it had bad matchups, but building it to cater towards the meta and like playing the best possible way to get a win is a lot different than playing spellbooks to play spellbooks, right? Like, I'm teching my side deck, like, I'm thinking about the interactions between Sky Striker, which is a horrible matchup for anybody wondering. And knowing I'll take hard losses to certain floodgates. Like I'm anticipating that, and the reason I'm doing that is because I have a competitive mindset. Now, if I'm like, fuck it, I have spell books, I want to play it, and that's as far as I'm going to get, well, I'm going to go X4 special and drop.
Exactly. Get taken to 2-0 City every time. There's nothing wrong getting taken to 2-0 City. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Like, I played against Phantasm Spiral, lost in Game 3 to Macrocosmos, for anyone that wonders about spellbooks and Macrocosmos. They don't mix very well.
Well, not at all.
And I lost in Game 3 to True Draco against like triple skill drain. So, happens.
Yeah.
But I had fun, sort of. I pulled out Ulti Desires.
And that was the one redeeming quality of locals.
But, yeah, I just want to stress how important it is to actually play the game, because, like, I get more out of me sitting down and play testing with Joe, like getting a timer out, like side decking and actually playing, but getting in a tournament setting where you're actually like thinking about just multiple decks, like, okay, I want to win this event. It's a 5-round event. It's only a locals, but it's still a fucking event. I want to do as best as I can. And that's so hard to, it's hard for one or two players to shift an entire like local scene. It takes a lot of work and a lot of energy, and it really, really like falls on the store. I don't want to say the store owners, but like the personnel on staff, because if they're passionate about the game, if they care about, making the players better, like it can't be overstated how important that is.
If one person cares, especially the person who's in charge of your actual card game, it will eventually follow, and your entire community will shift, your entire community will grow, and it will be for the better. I promise you, it worked. I did it before myself, and it works. And
those players will be happier. They'll be having more fun. They'll get players into the game, because like I don't actually know how many players I got into the game at my old locals, because I'd be hanging out. I would play Pokemon tournaments on I don't fucking remember the day. I think it was Tuesdays. And like afterwards I would be play testing with my buddy Irvin, and like we'd be talking with people, and we'd actually like help like people transition. They're like, okay, I'm having fun here. What are you guys playing? And then like we would get them in, but we can't do that at ours. And
it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
All right. So what are some other important points? Also, it's good to get involved with the community, as in getting to locals early. The one benefit of our locals starting so late is we can get there around 5 or 5:30, and you can talk a little bit of theory, trade, and like actually just meet a couple of people. I mean, there's several people that I don't want to have a conversation with, but I've talked to I don't remember who it is. I think it's like, who's the kid that Jimmy said his mom told him to watch him?
Oh, I can't think of his name. I know exactly.
I don't know his name, but he loves the game, right?
Yeah, he loves it. He's just, like I said, he's one of those kids who's on a budget and stuff like that.
Yeah, so but he'll ask me like how to, with what he has, like what should he change? He'll ask me stuff like that, and he'll be
Marcus. His name's Marcus.
Okay, yeah. So Marcus will ask me, like he was building Invoked. I think it had to be 2 months ago now, but I just posted an Invoked profile to my channel, and he's like, okay, I don't have this. Like what can I do? And that's awesome. I love getting there and talking to people about deck theory, because the community without the community talking to each other, the game's dead, right? It's a game where you have to interact with people.
And I completely agree.
Go ahead.
It's like what's one of the schools that, like, I was kind of just piggyback off that, but like one of the Decatur area players that comes up to our area once in a while to come play. He knows I'm a huge fan of Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, and they put packs open, Dragon Ball Super packs, and just hands me these cards like, here, I thought you might like since you're a huge fan of Piccolo. Now I got a sweet new field center, Like there's redeeming qualities to our locals. It's just I feel like it's as far and few between.
Yeah, like when I was new, I was relatively new, and Doug got me a fucking Christmas present. He gave me the OCG Trickstar Holly Angel, right? And like, I was like, okay, I know who I'm hanging out with, because I remember the very first time I walked into locals. I think it was Saturday. I don't know, but it was you and Doug and some other people sitting at a table. And like, I was just kind of scoping out the area, and you guys were doing a trade. And I think you were looking for a copy of Shared Ride. And
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I traded one of my gold rare Shared Rides away because I don't need that pleb shit in my binder.
God, I love hearing that every time.
But there are awesome things about our locals. Like, I don't want anybody from there thinking we're just talking mad shit about it, but that's kind of what we do.
I mean, it is what it is. If we receive backlash, that's going to happen. But I mean, is this one of the things? Like, this is what we see that we think that makes our local, that's wrong with our locals, and we want to correct it. And I think there's a lot of people who feel that way. So it's like,
yeah, start at 5 o'clock.
Wait, like, you have to have a starting point. This is a starting point. Or if you want to look at it as a starting point, I don't know.
It's us bitching online, like
that's really ultimately what it comes down to. But like I said, if we feel this passionately about it, there's got to be other people. There's got to be other people in other areas and stuff like that. And I mean, we're just giving you our thoughts.
Yeah, and like I know there's several people that watch or that either watch or listen to our channels at our locals. I just want anybody to fucking know that, like, you might not be the most competitive player, but like, talk to us. Like, we love talking about the game. Like, how can you improve your True Draco deck? Like, yes, I fucking hate True Draco, but I'll talk about True Draco theory.
Like I said, as angry and unapproachable as we appear, we really not. We just, we get frustrated. Like, all I want to do is combo, and you guys won't let me do that. Like,
all I want to do is play bullshit rogue decks. Like, remember that time I took True Draco spellbooks?
Yeah, that would. I was like, yesterday I tried playing Fire Fist and got stunned out by a barrier statue of the wind or whatever its name is. Oh, it was terrible.
We all know Aaron's the best locals player.
By far.
Aaron, he's the only one with his invite.
Easily. He makes us look like chumps.
And DJ's second best locals player.
Oh, by far. I get smacked around by him every time we play. Life, bro. Life.
I was like, DJ, yo, you want to go play your Switch and just like scoop?
That's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's because Doug's sitting right there. He won't let us.
He won't let us have it. He won't let us have it.
I remember Doug got up to go talk to the counter once. I don't remember who was playing against DJ. But he said to DJ, he's like, DJ, do you even want to play? He's like, no. He's like, can I have the win? DJ's like, yeah, just don't tell my dad.
That's awesome. See, and it's those little moments that make our locals redeeming.
Or like when DJ straight gives you the 2-0, right, Joe?
The swiftest 2-0 special of my life.
Like, I'll continue to go there because it's definitely the best locals in our area. I have fun. There's a lot of good people there. Just want to make the most out of going there, right?
Look, we're like
what it came down to.
We're like a JV high school basketball team. We're trying to be like college D1. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Boom.
We got to get on. Let's just go top OICS. It'll be fine.
Easy. All
right, so we got about a minute left. You got any closing comments?
Fire Fists suck. They look really pretty, but they suck. And my favorite quote of every week is Douglas French has no sauce.
Oh, no sauce. I got this.
Piccolo, you have no sauce. Hey.
There we go. So satisfying. All right, guys, thank you for listening. If you have finished, please remember to check out our YouTube channels, youtube.com/The Duel Factory, youtube.com/BingoHD. We post this, deck profiles, us bitching about regionals that we X2 dropped at, and so on and so forth. But I got nothing else. This goes up same time every week, so please check us out next week. Peace
Okay,
out.
bye.